British leaders believed colonies were weak, divided, and unable to unite against imperial authority effectively. Britain assumed colonists preferred comfort and would avoid risking lives for distant political principles entirely.
Officials underestimated colonial merchants who already resisted taxes and organized boycotts against British imports.
British troops expected easy control, believing military presence alone would quickly restore colonial obedience everywhere.
It ignored political experience colonists gained, governing themselves through assemblies and local leadership structures.
Britain misjudged willingness of ordinary farmers to defend homes when confronted by outside military force.
Communication networks spread resistance faster than British leaders anticipated across scattered colonial settlements everywhere. British believed economic pressure would force compliance instead of fueling anger toward unfair taxation policies. Acts of defiance shocked Britain, revealing organized resistance rather than isolated incidents of protest actions.
Leaders dismissed colonial unity as temporary, failing to see growing shared identity among different colonies.
Britain underestimated how quickly untrained militias could organize and coordinate under local experienced leaders. Rapid warning systems allowed colonies to mobilize faster than British troops could respond effectively. British believed intimidation would prevent resistance, but instead sparked armed confrontation with determined colonial fighters.
Initial clashes proved colonists would fight, contradicting assumptions they would quickly surrender to authority forces. Colonists prepared quietly, showing resilience Britain failed to recognize in rural communities across regions.
Britain underestimated political coordination emerging through Congress, uniting colonies under common revolutionary goals together.
Leadership strengthened colonial forces, proving organized command could rival professional British military structure effectively.
British misjudged endurance of colonial troops who survived harsh conditions while maintaining determination to fight. Overconfidence led British troops to underestimate constant threat from nearby colonial militia groups entirely. Colonists used terrain advantage, proving unconventional tactics could challenge traditional European battlefield strategies effectively.
Dense forests disrupted formations, revealing British difficulty adapting to unfamiliar American environments during campaigns.
Local knowledge gave colonists advantage Britain never fully accounted for in planning military operations.
British logistics suffered as colonists targeted supplies, weakening long-distance military effectiveness significantly over time. Flexible fighters could leave and rejoin battle, confusing British expectations of fixed standing armies.
Repeated miscalculations revealed misunderstanding of colonial motivation and capacity for sustained resistance efforts overall.
Britain failed to anticipate foreign alliances, strengthening colonial position in global conflict against empire.
Control of seas became contested, challenging British assumption of uncontested naval dominance across Atlantic waters. Small victories boosted morale, strengthening belief that independence was achievable despite powerful British opposition. Unexpected resistance forced retreats, contradicting early expectations of swift and decisive British victories everywhere. Endurance during hardship demonstrated commitment Britain failed to anticipate among diverse colonial population groups united. Information flow allowed coordination across colonies, undermining British efforts to isolate rebellious regions effectively. British overlooked contributions from civilians sustaining resistance through supplies, support, and community organization efforts.
Local production reduced dependence on imports, strengthening colonial resilience against British economic restrictions imposed.
Resistance strained supply chains, weakening British ability to maintain prolonged campaigns across vast territories.
Symbolism united colonists emotionally, creating identity Britain underestimated when enforcing imperial control over regions.
We must press the advantage here.
Our supply lines are stretched thin, sir. It's madness.
Nonsense. We attack at dawn.
Shared hardship built bonds, strengthening resolve. Britain failed to consider in predicting colonial collapse scenarios.
Difficult terrain slowed British progress, exposing logistical weaknesses in unfamiliar American landscapes during campaigns.
Flexible tactics allowed colonists to isolate forces, challenging rigid British battlefield formations and expectations consistently. Political courage grew, proving colonists sought independence rather than simple negotiation within British imperial system. Britain ideals inspired unity, strengthening resistance beyond military action into shared political vision for future.
Public support expanded, showing widespread commitment Britain underestimated among ordinary colonial citizens across regions.
Declarations signaled irreversible change, contradicting British belief colonies would eventually seek reconciliation peacefully instead. Continued resistance proved war would be long, challenging assumptions of quick suppression by British forces.
Improved coordination showed evolving military capability. Britain initially dismissed as disorganized and ineffective forces early.
Losses mounted, highlighting vulnerability Britain underestimated in extended overseas conflict against determined colonists everywhere. Foreign intervention shifted balance, exposing British failure to anticipate global consequences of colonial rebellion conflict.
Strategic cooperation strengthened efforts, proving unity Britain doubted could actually exist among colonies.
Organized campaigns showed colonists evolving into disciplined force, capable of challenging professional armies effectively. British trapped by coordinated forces, revealing consequences of underestimating colonial and allied military strength combined. Battle intensity proved colonists could match British firepower when properly organized and supported strategically together. Exhaustion and pressure revealed limits of British endurance, far from home support systems during war. Determined advance contradicted belief colonists lacked discipline for sustained, coordinated battlefield operations effectively. End of battle symbolized collapse of British expectations regarding colonial resistance capabilities and resolve.
Defeat forced reconsideration of assumptions about governance, distance, and power over distant territories globally.
Independence highlighted consequences of underestimating people defending rights, identity, and self-governance aspirations together.
Political success reinforced lesson that unity and determination could overcome powerful imperial authority structures worldwide.
Ordinary people changed history, proving Britain misjudged strength hidden within everyday colonial life completely.
Personal sacrifices showed depth of commitment Britain failed to measure when evaluating colonial resistance potential.
Recovery demonstrated resilience Britain underestimated across communities determined to build independent future together strongly.
Retreat symbolized end of control, confirming strategic misjudgment about maintaining authority over distant colonies.
Focus shifted to governance, proving colonies were capable of self-rule beyond British expectations earlier.
Participation showed democratic experience Britain underestimated when dismissing colonial political maturity and awareness levels.
Education fostered future stability, highlighting long-term vision Britain ignored during conflict with colonies.
Economic recovery proved colonies could sustain themselves without British oversight and control mechanisms imposed.
Experience shaped identity, strengthening unity.
Britain failed to recognize among diverse colonial populations earlier.
Political development showed maturity Britain underestimated when dismissing colonial governance capabilities entirely before war.
Peaceful life returns, proving struggle achieved independence, and Britain believed colonies could never secure alone.
Preparedness showed lessons learned, reinforcing independence Britain underestimated from beginning of conflict period entirely.
Information freedom expanded, contrasting British attempts to control narratives during escalating tensions earlier.
Unity at home reflected broader unity Britain failed to recognize among colonies during early tensions.
Future generations symbolized success. Britain misjudged when predicting collapse of colonial resistance efforts entirely.
Global diplomacy proved independence real, challenging British perception of colonies as minor regional concern.
Nationhood confirmed lasting impact of British miscalculations regarding unity, resilience, and determination of colonies.
History remembers how Britain underestimated colonies, transforming misjudgment into birth of powerful, independent nation forever.